What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Blerded Out. We got the new One Piece chapter. 11:30 is out, and it's a banger, I'm telling you. At least I'm pretty hyped about it. But we also got a bit of news here. News for the One Piece anime and the manga. We're going to talk about that, talk about the new chapter, and then we got to talk about what's going to be happening for the upcoming episodes. But first, a word from our sponsors. Thank you for tuning in to Blerded Out. Whether you're listening from YouTube on my channels like Tyrant King Kumo or Blerd Out Podcast, or one of the many podcast sites like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more, I appreciate your support. If you want to listen to older episodes of the podcast, head on over to Patreon. If you join as a free member, you can watch all the old episodes from the old seasons for free. Plus, there'll be other content that didn't quite make it to an episode or on a YouTube video that you can check out there as well. Your support means the world.
Talking all things, we chillin' like Loki. Better activate your Byakugan so you can see me. Coming at you left, right, up, down, sideways. Reactions, reviews, maybe even let's plays. On this droid boy, trying to make you laugh, make you smile. We about to set sail, so sit back and stay a while. It's Blerd, get out. Blerd, 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 get out.
And if you're not caught up to the latest chapters and episodes, please know that there will be spoilers ahead.
Oops. Spoilers.
So let's talk about the anime. First off, we got the Honesty Impact episode, which was really well done. They highlighted Kobe so well. And like from the art direction to just the feels, the episode felt great. So kudos to them on that. But it came with a cost because One Piece is going on a 6-month break. That's right, the anime is going to be gone for 6 months. Now, this is not an indefinite hiatus. It is expected to be back in April of 2025. But Toei is giving a break to the animators, and they have a lot of new plans for the anime. We're expecting better animation. We're expecting a different time slot, which a lot of people are suspecting it's because One Piece is going seasonal. And if you've seen how great One Piece has been week to week, can you imagine how crazy it would be if it was seasonal? If it had the attention and care that anime like JJK, like Chainsaw Man, like the stuff that Mappa does, imagine that kind of time and care put into One Piece. Where we don't have excessive filler, we don't have bad pacing. And it's not even that the most recent stuff has been badly paced. Honestly, I think it's been pretty good. But imagine it better. They're even supposed to be renewing like the quality, so like new sound design, new features like that, where because we've had the same DBZ sound in One Piece for decades now. But even that's getting revamped. So they're doing a complete overhaul on the anime. Which honestly, I haven't heard of being done while the anime is still happening in all my years of watching anime. Especially since we have the Wit remake, the One Piece coming out, and that's already a huge project. With like, not only is the One Piece getting updated, One Piece is getting updated. So both animes are going to be using the top-notch quality that we want. I'm super excited about this. Obviously, I have been talking for a while about how I wanted the next portion of the story to be really well done because it's Kuma's backstory. We have the rest of Egghead coming up, so we have like Luffy versus Kizaru, the Gorosei, all that stuff. But I wanted Kuma's backstory to be done the best way possible. And now I'm really confident that they're going to put all their effort into it. Can you imagine how hard that backstory is going to hit with like top tier animation, new sound design, just, it's going to be perfect. But obviously not getting One Piece week to week is going to be a bit of a pain. It's going to take a lot to get used to because we've been getting spoiled with week to week greatness for a while now. Back since Roof Piece, back since Wano. And I mean, not to say that One Piece Weekly hasn't been great, but like the last stretch of One Piece that we've been on has been phenomenal. And they're not leaving us with nothing. So what they're going to do is they've remastered Fishman Island. They made a 21 episode remaster of Fishman Island with higher quality animation. I believe they like use the Wano effect and just ramped up the quality of Fishman Island. I think they created different pacing because obviously it's only 21 episodes, so they obviously redid some of the pacing here and there. I'd be very curious to see if they actually like redid scenes or if they just really edited it well. And not only is the anime on break, the manga is going to be on break. So we got 11:30 today, but we are going on a 2-week break. One Piece is going to be gone until November 11th. And I've been seeing some people say it's a 3-week break, which now that I look at the calendar, I think is correct. And it may be like it's a 2-week Oda break plus a 1-week Shonen Jump break combined for 3 weeks. But that's a really long time. It's basically a month. That's basically what Oda did when Wano ended. And that's what he did when we had the ending of the first half of One Piece before the time skip. So it's been a little bit since we've been on a break like that, where it's just close to an entire month. And this is going to be a month of like just no new One Piece stuff. It's going to be a crazy dry spell. So obviously this is going to be the time we take to revamp some stuff on the channel, but also I'm hoping to see some cool videos come out from not just like this channel, but from all the One Piece creators, because break time is the best time to just get out the content that you really haven't been able to get to yet, just because One Piece is so constant, where it's like, you know, you have anime, you have manga, you have One Piece news constantly coming out. You don't always get chances to put out the videos you want unless you're just grinding. So this is going to be the chance for everybody to just get out some sweet new vids. I'm excited to see what everyone's coming up with. I myself have some plans, but we'll see what we get out of it. But just to reiterate, the One Piece anime is going to be on break for 6 months, coming back April 2025, and the One Piece manga is going to be on break for 3 weeks, coming back November 11th. And because we read One Piece at different times, it may come back a little bit sooner than the 11th, right? Possibly a week before, depending on, you know, how early things get sent over, translated, all that good stuff. So the timing on the manga may be a little iffy, but you can expect it to be around that time. But let's talk about the chapter. One Piece 11:30, the Accursed Prince. Accursed? I want to say accursed. I like the way accursed sounds better than accursed. But we are still on the Yamato pilgrimage, and at this point, Yamato and Tama are knocked out, and somebody steals Yasuo's sword. Now they are deeply silhouetted, so this seems like the same people that were kidnapping women in Kuri, or at least the same group. And what's also interesting is that Yamato's Kanobo is lined up right against a tree, and they don't take that. So they're not taking every weapon, they're just specifically taking Yasuo's katana. Why they might be doing that? Not sure. I mean, it does hold value as a katana in Wano. And it might even be, oh, I forget his name, the fox that was collecting. Onimaru. It might even be Onimaru. Do you know that Onimaru can shapeshift in a way? However, since I think it's tied with the other people disappearing, it's probably not Onimaru, because I don't think Onimaru will be doing that. Getting into the chapter itself. So it looks like they had been searching for the Straw Hats for some time now, and Frankie is officially calling off the search. And they were searching to the point where they even had Jinbei using the sharks to search the seas for him. But they come to the conclusion that basically it's the Straw Hats. They'll figure out a way to Elbaf. They really don't need to do all that much to help them out. I mean, they have Sunny, they have the Monster Trio, they'll be fine. It totally makes more sense for them to just go to Elbaf and wait there than to search the entirety of the sea to see where they might have gone. And so they all agree and they decide to celebrate for like the 5th time but they're all this to celebrate with. They ain't got no booze, they ain't got no food. So it's about to be a dry celebration. Cut back to Luffy and the gang, and they have made it outside. And we get a glimpse of like the detention center, and it's at the very bottom of what I imagine to be Yggdrasil. And at this point, it's snowing heavily, and it honestly reminds me of Drum Castle, in a way. Like, and I think mainly it's because it's a castle on a snowy mountain, but it also has very familiar peaks. Like, it even has the area where Hero like had his flag. It doesn't have a flag up there, but otherwise, it's a really cool looking landscape because this castle is even above like the trees and mountaintops. There's a giant rope bridge leading up into the tree. And on that rope bridge is Gerd and Goldberg, who I was just talking about, I think, last chapter, where I was like, I really want to see them because I like their character design. I want to see them in the actual story. And they showed up. And they're talking about why Heidrun let Road join the crew in the first place. Apparently, he's not the most well-liked, which would lead more into my theory that they put him in the detention center because he actually does stuff that warrants him being there. Like, he's less watching over people in the detention center, and he's actually just in there. And because they keep him there, he makes a hobby out of capturing people. And they mentioned that Road keeps smuggling in intruders. Like, they're supposed to capture them and probably do a review of who they are, what they're here for, but he's just smuggling them in and then using them for his own needs. McGurk even says he's worthy of the title of Shame of Elbaf, which is currently attributed to Loki. So they have some, or at least Gerd has a pretty high level of disdain for Road. And Gerd has a owl with her named Piper. Now I like the concept of the giants having like animals with them, whether it be like animal guides or just animal partners, because we know that Road has that crow that carries the ship in. And now Gerd has this owl. I would like to see if the other giants have something similar. It'd be cool if they have like a connection with animals. But in case you didn't remember, Gerd is the ship's doctor, Goldberg is the ship's cook. They're all in the new giant primes with Heidrun, and I forget what Road's position is, to be honest. He's a navigator, that's right. They even mentioned it here, yeah, he's a skilled navigator. But Luffy and the crew see these two in passing, and Luffy, of course, try calling out to them because he can't keep his mouth shut, but Nami covers it in time. They don't notice and they keep walking. As they pass, Luffy and crew decides to go the other way and cross the rope bridge. And obviously this is a giant bridge, so while Luffy's up on like the actual rope, just crossing where you put your hands, everyone else is at the bottom crossing the wood planks. But because it's made for giants, the planks are really open and wide, and there's a huge fall to the ground. So obviously Usopp's scared. Nami's riding on the back of Chopper, and Chopper is vibing because he's used to this. Like, he's used to the climate, he's used to the rope bridge. This is all like Chopper's backyard. And everyone else is chilling as well, no one's really worried about it. But then we get Luffy and Zoro talking about them sensing something. And we know that when, at the very least, Luffy, but usually the monster trio, they all have a sense of when someone strong is nearby. We've seen that since basically the time skip begun. And they get that sense now. And it's funny because both of them asked to go see what it is. They're very curious about what's going on down there and why they sense that, but Sanji's like, nah, nobody can go. And Luffy, obviously not caring about what Sanji just said, jumps straight down. He wants to inspect what that sound is, so he's on his way. All the while, Usopp is terrorized by this rope bridge. He's really trying to be brave. It's not working out for him at all. And then we cut back to the giants on the water. So it turns out they have listed Dory and Brogy as accomplices in the attack on Egghead, and they have given them a bounty update. 1.8 billion a pop. Now that lands them underneath Luffy, but above everyone else in the Straw Hats. And we get the reveal that their old bounty used to be only 100 million. And Robin mentions that, like, you know, inflation. there's probably a huge change in prices from then to now. But it's odd that they they're just now mentioning Dorian Broggie when they've been traveling with Shanks. And maybe not even traveling, but like hanging out with Shanks. You would think that the Navy would have some intel on that and that they would have issued some kind of bounty. And they didn't even mention it in the paper, like that, the giants that normally hang out with Shanks or with Luffy. Like there was no mention of that. So there must not be a lot of intel on why these two are with Shanks. Or I guess why Shanks is with these two. But they got new bounties, they're plastered all over the paper. It's not a big deal. They're giants, so the only people that can really contend with them are probably going to be Yonko or admirals. Your run-of-the-mill pirates aren't doing anything to these guys. But they also have an excerpt about Luffy. And they're saying that he's the one who murdered Vegapunk. Well, basically Luffy and the Straw Hats. Oddly enough, there's another picture of Gear 5 Luffy in the news. Now, I think at this point, Morgans has stopped colluding with the world government to withhold information. Because I think he basically has a bounty on his head. So he's just posting whenever he gets. But if you look at Luffy's picture, you will see something very familiar. And Robin notices this as well. And I think Robin would be the only person here to notice that and remember it. But it's the little X, the X that they used to signal Vivi when they left Alabasta. Now, if we recall, currently Vivi and Wapol are hiding out with Morgans, meaning not only do they know what's going on Egghead, but this is Vivi's way of getting a message to Luffy, because only these Straw Hats will know what this symbol means. So this is basically Vivi signaling to Luffy and the Straw Hats that she's okay and that she's probably with Morgans. Because that's the only way she'd be able to get that symbol on there. Now, Robin would only have faint memory of it, just because she wasn't like actually a part of that moment. But I think technically by that point, she was already on the ship. So she easily could have seen it, but she obviously doesn't have the deeper meaning to it. If any of the Straw Hats that are currently on Elbaf right now saw that, they would know immediately what that meant. Now, I don't imagine we're going to see this connection be made until maybe the end of the next arc, because realistically, there's no reason for them to bring it up once they meet up. And generally speaking, they don't, like the Straw Hats don't communicate information that well, I'm not gonna lie. Especially surprisingly, Robin, she tends to keep pretty silent about a lot of things. So we'll see if they mention this. It's not gonna be anytime soon, I can tell you that. But it is nice to see that basically storyline be set up. But now that we read that, we start getting some lore. So obviously Hydruden is a part of Luffy's Grand Fleet, and Dorian Broggie know about this, so they're talking about how he's even joined, and how basically he wanted to go to Egghead himself to pick up Luffy. Now, that's funny because I think had Hydruden gone to Egghead, they would not have made it out of there. Not that Dorian Broggie are so, amazingly superior. I have no faith in Hydruden. I mean, his greatest feat is beating Mach Weiss, and that destroyed half his body. I don't think he's going crazy on the Gorosei. It's gotta be honest. But apparently Hydruden is the kid of the king. And not only that, but based on what I'm seeing here, he is the younger brother of Loki, because Loki is the other prince, and they refer to him as the accursed prince. So apparently Loki has devoted himself to darkness, and he was set to be crucified, but he tried to escape, and basically they captured him and tied him up. Now they mentioned that all the warriors had to gather together to capture him, and just to emphasize what that means, all of the giant warriors had to capture this one person. Think about it on the scale of when Kaido sent all of the Tobiropo to capture Yamato and then maximize that scale to the highest ability. That seems like what this is. And even Frankie has a reaction of, wait, what do you mean all the warriors? But the story goes that there's a legendary devil fruit that gets passed down through the royal family. And Loki just had to have it. He could not wait. He desperately wanted it. So he killed the king, King Harold, in order to get the fruit. Now, it's not mentioned if he actually got it or if he killed it in order to get the succession. What happened with the fruit is not mentioned. I would imagine that he ate it because they mentioned that if Loki ever gets loose, it'll be the end of everything. It seems like they were able to stop him before. So I'm wondering if maybe he doesn't have the devil fruit yet. Maybe he's got it like tucked away somewhere. And if he gets out and eats it, it's going to go all downhill. Yeah, they call him the Shame of Elbaf. And speaking of the Shame of Elbaf, we get, like I mentioned in the last episode, double page spreads, not only of Sir Loki, but of Elbaf. Like I thought we would. I was like, we're definitely getting a double page spread of Elbaf this chapter. And we got it. But let's talk about Loki first, because Loki's design, I think, is really cool. So they've got him chained up at the bottom of Yggdrasil, just coated in chains. He looks like Doflamingo right now. And I'd imagine that if these are sea stone chains, that would make a lot of sense. We'll probably see within the next, well, when One Piece comes back, we'll probably see if they're sea stone chains, if Luffy touches them. And if they are, that's probably a good indication that he has whatever fruit he was looking for. I mean, design-wise, so far, I really like Loki. He even has the helmet with the two horns that kind of signifies Loki. But it also looks like his eyes are covered up. So I'm wondering if he has the devil fruit and what connection it might have to his eyes. But even with his eyes covered, he senses Luffy and he asks Luffy to state his name, which Luffy, of course, says, "I'm Luffy, gonna be king of the pirates." You know the drill. And then Luffy asks in return, and this is where we get the double page spread of Elbaf itself. This is Warland, the mighty kingdom of Elbaf. They say it is the birthplace of war. And then Loki says, "I am the sun god who will bring about the end of the world." Loki. And that is the chapter. Now, this double page spread of Elbaf is just fantastic because you can see the detention center all the way at the bottom. It's tiny. This is very much like the Thousand Sunny when it arrived on Onigashima. Because like the mountain range is the lowest thing in this double page spread. You have like the mountain range and then you have Yggdrasil and there's like levels to it. You have like the bottom level where the detention center is at. And then you can see like in the mid level, there's like buildings and town. Like there's a giant sword there. You can see like cannons embedded to different places on the tree, which I think is an indicator of like a defense system. So like if someone were to approach Elbaf, that's how they would take care of it before they landed. Can you imagine being shot by a giant cannon? It reminds me of something that like Burn New World was doing, where he would make like the giant cannonball. I feel like something like that will be flying off of Elbaf. And if you think about how tiny a ship would be, because like if you look at this for scale, the Straw Hats are currently on this rope bridge at the very bottom, and they're tiny on that rope bridge. Now the cannons look about as big as that castle. Like they have the 3 stock cannons. They look huge. So if you're, you've got a regular ship, like, and Thousand Sunny is a pretty big ship for what it's used for. Imagine getting hit by a cannon from Elbaf in that kind of ship. You're done, dead. Even if it doesn't hit your ship, if it hits anywhere in the water near you, you're probably capsizing. But the design is fantastic. I love it. Design of Loki, design of Elbaf itself. This makes me hype for Elbaf. And previously, it wasn't the Legoland thing kind of didn't do it for me. It felt like a side tangent. Obviously, it's all built up. It was all built up for this and what's to come after, but it wasn't getting me in that Elbaf mood. This feels more like an Elbaf type of chapter. And obviously it's because we get bigger reveals of Elbaf and not just Samari's Playhouse. But just overall, it has a stronger vibe to it. But that was a great chapter for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think one thing I really want to see is a progression from Usopp. I mean, I think this is obviously going to be his arc. He really needs to get that brave warrior bump, but it's just kind of saddening to see he's still being a bit of a coward. Like, I want him to be so excited that it takes over the coward in him. Other than that, I have no complaints. Chapter was fantastic. And to wrap things up, since everything is going to be on break, the podcast is probably going to be on break as well. Not for the entirety of the 3 weeks that the manga is on break. One of the days will probably be a break week, and the other 2 will be some backlog content I have. So of course, keep an eye out for that. And usually on the break weeks, I'll either do a new season or we'll try to like revamp some of the stuff I've been doing. I try to make it a rule to change at least one thing just to see if it looks better, if I like it better. So you should expect to see some changes in like the video format, how it's gonna look, how it might be recorded, something like that. You should see some kind of update within, this break week. But that is going to do it for me for now. Like I said, keep an eye out for the break week content. We're gonna have some cool stuff coming. Catch you in the next one. Peace.